So welcome, everybody. I would like to turn the agenda over to President Bennett, our illustrious president, who also is a graduate of Fielding, and for his brief remark.
Thank you, and good afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you might be in the world. President Emeriti Rogers, thank you for that launch, that kickoff, and also thank you for emceeing this event today. I want to acknowledge that we have several members of our Board of Trustees here, and I think I captured the names that I could see. If I missed someone, I apologize. Bill Huffaker, Karen Bunnell, Nicola Smith, Maria Sanchez. Thank you for joining us to celebrate Charles's retirement. It's both an honor and heartfelt moment for me to be with you today as we recognize and celebrate the remarkable career and retirement of Dr. Charles McClintock. I've worked with Charles in various capacities, including as a student in the student governance organization structure, as an alum, as a member of the Board of Trustees, and as president. But before I talk more about Charles, I do want to just take a moment to share this story. And this is about an event that occurred at the OD Network Conference in San Juan, Puerto Rico, probably about 18 years ago. And Charles, you may not remember this, but I had recently graduated from Fielding, and now keeping in mind that I had been a student, a member of the student governance organization, all while Charles was dean. We interacted many times, and I had just spoken to him when he referred to me as another alum, Kevin Norse. Now, those of you that know Kevin know that Kevin and I are not the same. So as we begin this celebration, Charles, just in case you don't recall, I'm John Bennett, okay?
Thank you, John. With every passing year, I get better with names, you know.
Charles has been more than a colleague. He's been a visionary leader, a dedicated educator, and a cherished member of the Fielding community for decades. His contributions have not only shaped our university, but also influenced the broader fields of organizational studies, leadership development, and human and organizational systems. Charles brought to Fielding a spirit of intellectual curiosity and rigor, and an unwavering belief in the power of human potential. His leadership of the School of Human and Organizational Development helped define Fielding's commitment to adult learning and the scholar practitioner model. Under his guidance, our programs evolved in both depth and relevance, equipping graduates to become effective change agents in organizations and communities around the world. Those who've worked with Charles know his generosity as a mentor, his clarity of thought, and his gift for asking just the right question. The kind that opens minds and moves conversations forward. His scholarship bridged the gap between theory and practice, and his leadership inspired both confidence and creativity. And on a personal note, I want to thank Charles for your steadfast support, your collegial spirit, your generous support of Fielding through the McClintock Welborn Endowed Fund in Leadership, as well as the Marie Fielder Center and many other initiatives, and for your wise counsel. Charles served as an assessor and a partner in learning for many students. As Dean of HOD, Chair of the Diane Kipnis Award for Social Innovation, and Director of the Institute for Social Innovation. He has left an indelible mark, not only on Fielding, but on all of us who had the fortune to work with him. Charles, as you enter the next chapter of your life, one I hope will be filled with joy, exploration, and well-earned rest. Now that your legacy endures in the lives you've touched, the programs you've built, and the ideals you have championed. So on behalf of Fielding Graduate University community, thank you. And we celebrate you today with gratitude and admiration. Congratulations on your retirement. I hope you aren't far away when I need to call you.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate those generous remarks, and I promise never to forget your face and name again.
Thank you, President Bennett, for being here this morning and for kicking us off in such a kind, gracious, and fun manner. That's very lovely. Charles, did you want to say anything else? You can just shake your head if you're ready.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
It was wonderful. Thank you very much.
Well, one thing I wanted to share about Charles is that I had the fortune of Charles deciding that I might make a good employee of Fielding and hiring me in 2005. And that was the start of a wonderful collegial relationship. And also, as many of you know, the start, I think, of a great time at Fielding that I've had these last 20 years. So I owe Charles a lot for that. And in the same vein, Anna DiStefano, our Provost Emerita, hired Charles McClintock. So I'm going to turn over the agenda to Anna. And also to Laniel Henderson, who has joined us. Thank you, Dr. Henderson. And those of you who know Dr. Henderson know he is a very long time member of Fielding and has served as professor in our education leadership program. So Anna, Laniel.
Thank you. I was tempted to do my little piece here as a roast because, of course, when I retired or left the position of provost, Katrina and Charles did a little roast of me, I'd like to say. I don't know if you remember that in the Fielding Garden, but yeah, it was, my children were there, my spouse was there, and everybody was a little surprised, but that's okay. No, and I decided I needed to be organized, and so I've decided to use three S words to describe my experience of Charles.
That's the location, and it initially said that you all had it available.
I think I'm hearing something in the background. Anyone else hearing that, or is it just
Somebody needs to mute.
Thank you. I thought I was hearing voices, which, you know, happens as you get older. So, so my three S words, these start with S. So first of all, I'd like you to think of an S word to describe Charles. I have no idea what you will come up with, but my three are as follows. First of all, he's obviously very smart. I mean, he was, you know, he came to us from Cornell. He had graduated from Occidental. He had credentials that were impressive. He had been involved in the Council of Graduate Schools. And so when he called me and said, you know, he was interested in being involved with Fielding, just actually before he even became dean, I was impressed by his continued intelligence, although it was taking a different form. So my first S is smart. The guy is really smart. The second S word I have for him is smooth. Now, those of you who know me know that I'm not very smooth. And so Charles was often there when I was provost and he was dean, as a way of trying to make me look better maybe than I was looking or sounding or acting. And so, but in particular, when I say smooth, I'm really thinking of the first time he sat down at a piano in the middle of some Fielding gathering and started playing the piano like, I don't know, like he had been doing it, well, she probably has his whole life. So, I mean, when you have a dean who is smart, and then also smooth enough to play any tune on the piano. I thought I was really myself brilliant for making the choice of hiring him as the dean. One of my best moments. And the last S that I bet it isn't yours, but anyway, the last S I want to call out is that he is a strategic thinker. Once again, a quality that he tried to encourage in me, but often failed at, I have to say, because Charles knew the best thing to do at that moment with that person in that situation. And he was measured. He was measured. He was, I guess I would say, strategic. And so I learned a lot from Charles. I had been the dean of the Human and Organization Development Program in my own way. And we were quite different as deans. And as provost, I really learned a lot from the way he thought about things, and the way he participated both with his own faculty and also in the academic leadership of the institution. I was also very, very pleased with his and Carol's hospitality at their home, and the shared stories that we had about our children. So congratulations, Charles. You've certainly earned the right to do whatever you want as a professional and as a pianist. Oh, maybe I should do P's now. And so I thank you for all you did for Fielding, and I thank you all for all you did for me as your nominal boss. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Oh, that was wonderful. And I love the S's, and I love your creativity. And I can't believe that I taught you anything, but if you say so, I accept it. That's great.
Thank you both. And Anna, as our provost emeritus and our first provost, I just want to thank you for being here today as well. Special shout out to you. I'd love to see Lanil. Lanil, welcome. And I'm like to turn it over to you.
Glad to be here. Thank you. President Rogers is still President Rogers in my mind. I can see a lot about Charles. Mine would probably start with A's, achievement, acuity, acceptance. And the irony is that when Charles first came to Fielding as the HOD director, I moved over to ELC, not because he became dean, but because my emphasis was public policy, and ELC was doing more of that in those days. But I still had a chance to work with Charles and to observe Charles's expert leadership of human and organizational development, and what has been said about him I can attest to. In addition to that, he is multidisciplinary. I mean, he can navigate any number of disciplines with the level of skill that persons trained in that area could navigate. And I was impressed by that. I remember his work as a scholar practitioner, and his articles on scholar practitioner are still part of the bibliography that we use in our courses because they're that good. And they continue to be that good. But in addition to scholar practitioner, there's scholar activist. He's very, very focused on what's going on in our world and how it translates into opportunities for Fielding to contribute. And that's what he's been about, and he's done it very well. So you have to keep one ear to the external world and your more profound ear to the internal world, and he's able to do both. The other thing that binds us as friends, he's known as Chaz to me. Okay, Chaz, his nickname, and rhymes with jazz, and connects back to what Anna was saying about the music. I had the opportunity to actually go listen to Charles play in a certain nightclub, a clean nightclub, by the way. And he wowed everybody with his range of skills at the piano. He could go from, classical down to the most recent, sort of hip hop So I was impressed by that and how he could do that while being as good as he was in his fielding roles and in his academic roles. And being trained in public policy and public administration like our president, I was impressed by the fact that here's a man with a background in psychology and social psychology who's publishing in the Public Administration Review. And that's not an easy journal to get published in, even if you're trained in that area. But not only was his article insightful and useful, but it helped a great deal of us who were in the field. When he led the Institute of Social Innovations, he gave an opportunity for faculty, students, and staff to contribute intellectually to the fielding community and to the outside world. And he embodied those characteristics that we were talking about just a few minutes ago about his scholar, practitioner, activism, and artistry. So we can add that A. The other thing about Charles is his interpersonal skills, his ability to read what's going on with the person that is across the table, across the room, across the discipline from him. And that's a rare skill, particularly when you're an administrator, because so much comes at you as an administrator, as a number of people in this meeting can attest, that it's not easy to focus on what's going on with an individual or a person at the moment. But he's able to read that and pick that up. And I remember one meeting, he may not remember this, but I remember there were about 36, 37 of us in the room, and he was presiding over the meeting. And he said, let's take a minute here or two because something's going on with one of our participants. And I wanted to address before we go forward. And that really impressed the heck out of me. It really did. Because most of the folks are just sort of look at the universe of folks who are in that room, and that's what they think about. But he was able to see that person's distress, and he stopped the whole process for it to be addressed. And that was just absolutely exceptional, the other thing that we do very often in these kinds of celebrations is we focus on the individual and the mighty soul and mind in their prime. But I want to tell you that even now, Charles continues to contribute because with our recently deceased NSF grant, he made a huge contribution to the work of Orlando Taylor and getting that grant, the Center for Applied Leadership in STEM. He wrote a fantastic article I encourage everybody to read in the Journal of Negro Education on Black women in STEM and HBCUs. And he was our internal sort of expert on HBCUs, even though I teach at one. He had the broader expertise, and he's been indispensable to us. And the other thing that he's doing recently that I admire, because this is a part of what we say is our fielding ethic to balance family and work and community, is the attention that he gives and the priority he gives to his family and his wife, especially when they're not doing well. That impressed me also because to balance that with all the other things that he's doing really takes an exceptional mind and soul. And then finally, I would say that as the president has said, President Bennett, that his mark on fielding is permanent. There are people who come and people who go. But he's one of those whose contributions will be etched on the Hollywood Walk of Fame forever, as long as we have a fielding or something like a fielding. So we are profoundly grateful to you, Chaz, and we hope that you will continue to play that music and do what is resounding in your soul and mind as you go forward.
Thank you so much, Lanil. And I just want to say, one of the things Lanil always did for me, every 2 or 3 months, I'd get a package in the mail. And Lanil would be sending me a CD that he thought I should hear. And it was always a delight and reminded me just of how close the two of us are.
Yes, indeed, indeed. We'll miss you, buddy.
Thank you, Anna and Lanil, for being here today. It's wonderful. I just want to also add, in the chat, people are adding comments and their own stories. And I think, Anna, you started something with riffing on the letter S. So Great idea.
And
Thank
I
you.
can't respond to those things in the chat now, but I will savor them all and try to reach back out to you.
Yeah, and you will, because we'll be able to get that chat to you. I'd like now to introduce, as a group, our esteemed faculty, Keith Melville, Annabelle Nelson, and David Willis from the Human Organization Development Program, as well as Patrice Rosenthal, who's also from the program, and the program director, as well as faculty. So I'm not sure how the four of you want to engage here, but I'm going to turn it over to the four of you next.
Katrina, I would be happy to start. Charles, there's just so much to celebrate and so much to remember. I remember when I welcomed you, when you and Carol first came to the community, and very quickly I saw all the ways in which you all the skills and sensitivity that you brought to this program. I have so often sought your advice. I appreciated your friendship, and I have so many memories. One of them is the way you conducted us in faculty meetings. I mean, that is one difficult assignment. Anna, you know this well. Don Bushnell knew this well. Herding cats was the right phrase for it. And I remember how you did that, namely bringing in our very best traits and keeping us moving forward. I'm also thinking of another moment, again, coming back to your piano playing. Some of you will remember this. In one of the faculty meetings, you and Frank Barrett sat down at the beginning of a faculty meeting and gave us a lesson in jazz piano. And I was thinking, boy, there the two of you are improvising together brilliantly, I thought. And I was sitting back thinking, how deeply I enjoy being part of this community, and the way that you combined your professional skills and your love of music and your talents there were just extraordinary. It's a bittersweet thing for us to be retiring together. I look forward to, continuing our friendship and figuring out how to do that and make it a really rich and enjoyable next phase. So, congratulations, Charles. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Keith. The feeling is very mutual, and thank you for the memory of that piano duet with Frank Barrett. I remember that well.
Thanks,
I'll
Keith.
jump in. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Charles, you were the best dean I ever had. And not the best program director, though. That's Patrice. But but you saved me. I started fielding in '96 and you came in 2001. And I said yes to everyone. And I was getting ready to quit and find another job. And all the previous deans had pathologized me. It was my problem for saying yes. And you helped me build a structure for my work. And you've kept me here now almost 30 years. So thank you for that. And you saved HOD. You monitored our budget. You stood up for us with the powers that be. You showed how HOD was bringing more percentage-wise into the main budget. So you saved HOD as well. And you are always behind faculty. Mary Nash is on the phone. And I think you got a grant for Sarah McCune, and you had me and Mary Nash and another student go out to all the nonprofits for young people, helping them become citizens in the US. A lot of them were Latino kids whose parents worked in the wineries. And you supported me and Mary and another student, and we published that work. And we actually documented a storytelling methodology. So thank you so much. And ISI, I mean, how long? So you started ISI in what, 2011 or something? I don't know if Charles is here, but
yeah, actually before that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Carrie's on the phone, and there's so many alum, and maybe Suzanne McVicker. you've helped so many alums move out into the world and keep working on social innovations and our mission, social justice. So thank you. Thank you for saving me as a faculty, HOD, and propelling our alums out into the world.
Thank you very much, Annabelle, and I'm glad to know I helped save you. But you saved yourself because you are a person of high caliber and high quality and integrity, and I always knew that about you.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. It's a really wonderful story. Who would like to go next? David, do you want to go next?
Sure, happy to go next. My goodness, Charles, it's so wonderful to see you. Oh, Judy, we got a double sound from you there. I hope we get to hear from Judy later too. Charles, just absolutely wonderful to see you, and of course,
Lost your audio, David.
okay, I guess everybody got muted, so here we are. But so wonderful to see you, and of course, Carol too. Great to see Carol as well here today, Charles, and congratulations on the retirement. Two words come to mind for me to describe you: a gentleman and a scholar. That word gentleman has so many connotations, and Charles, you seem to fit most of them. Certainly a gentle soul. And oh my, what a great piano player. I also have to remember this lovely evening we had high above the Chicago River in Mike Manning and Mary Nash's apartment, and with Charles and Frank playing this amazing duet, riffing, improvised. What a blessing, a memorable evening. A careful and empathetic listener, Charles was always there to support the scholars around him, as we're all hearing, whether young or old. Well, he's always had a special spot for the older among us, sponsoring the Creative Aging Conference for many years. His support for the great scholars in this field, George Valiant, who did the longitudinal Harvard grant study, Rick Moody, who was the head of education at ARRP and the author of numerous textbooks and others on creative aging, and so many others, has stood out. I also want to note Charles' great emphasis on the practical, on getting things done. We're hearing about that too, for sure. His new initiatives and programs made a powerful impact on our students and all of us. His Charles' scholarship is impeccable, as we've been hearing, and has often been shared with colleagues collaboratively, something I particularly admire. These many articles are, in fact, milestones, talismans for all of us working in adult transformative education. Working together is Charles' working credo, apparently. I want to also note how well he and Katrina worked together. When I joined, they were my bosses, along with wonderful Judy Stevens-Long and Dorothy Agargupta. Charles hired me in 2008 from Japan. I was so struck, even astonished, when in my evaluation meeting after my first year at Fielding in 2009, how Charles and Katrina asked me right away, what can we do for you? Not the usual, how has your year been? What are the pluses? Is how can you do better? And then their evaluation of me. But what can we do for you? I see this as the next stage of organizational development, not what's in it or our performance for the organization, but what can the organization do for all of us as individuals. The next stage of OD is coming our way along these lines now, and Charles, Katrina, Judy, and Dorothy, we're all out ahead of the curve on this. And now, after many years of wonderful and collegial support, I want to ask Charles, what can we do for you? Congratulations, Charles, on your many years of long service, seva, as we call it in Sanskrit in India, cooperative and collaborative service to all in the community. Yay, Charles.
David, your enthusiasm is infectious. I remember your job interview, and I said, we have to hire this guy. The Fielding needs him. And thank you very much for those generous comments.
Thank you so much, David. Patrice, we'll have you go as the leader of HOD.
Thanks, Katrina. And Charles, thank you so much. You hired me too, and I really, really appreciate it. Not only did you hire me, but you also showed me what Fielding was and what Fielding could be. You showed me a Fielding that had both seriousness and a kind of wonderful oddness banquet, which I love so much. You showed me how Fielding is a place of like really hard work and also playfulness. You showed me how Fielding was and could be and is a place that elevates graduate education from the mundane to a place kind of magic and mystique. And I associate all of those things with you and your bossness, your bossiness. You were the best boss, one of the best bosses I've ever had in my career. And I enjoyed every minute of it. But some of those minutes I was a little scared. You had the best kind of combination of characteristics in a boss I think I've ever had. I remember first meeting you in the Santa Barbara office, that gorgeous office that was up near the Mission in Santa Barbara. You and Katrina took me out to lunch after I had only interacted with you before that on email. So I remember first meeting you in the office, and colleagues that are here, colleagues and family of Charles, there he was, this urbane person, this person with a kind of patrician bearing, wearing a really well-cut shirt and California flip-flops. And I was just over from London and really traditional sorts of people working in academic settings. And here this person was with this great combination of characteristics. That continued. You were a formidable manager with really high expectations of faculty. And you had some annoyance when we didn't meet those expectations, which made me really want to do so. You were a formidable manager, but also brought fun. And I don't have time to share it here in this couple of minutes that I've got, but you executed one of the biggest acts of trust and generosity towards me in a hard time that I've ever experienced in my career. You're a serious scholar with a fantastic sense of humor. You're a true believer in Fielding. You're also somebody who could see our occasional kind of out there-ness and could bring us back to reality. You're a discerning person, discerning about individual people, and you could also make a group sing. You're one of the savviest managers. Annabelle is always saying to me, be like Charles, protect and expand our resources. And I try to do that. You're a savvy manager, a bureaucratic operator, and you're also a man of art and music. You're a man of jazz. To me, you have both substance and also verve. And I just want to play out by channeling Frank Barrett, who was mentioned a moment ago. To him and to me, and I think to all of us here, you are top shelf. And I thank you so much for hiring me and for all of your contributions to Fielding. And you're the person that I most want to sit next to in any Fielding event. And I hope there are many in the future. Thank you so much, Charles.
Patrice, thank
I
you.
found a decal in second grade.
Patrice, thank you very much. I'll
reserve
a chair.
This young lady whose dad
Hold
used to
on
be
a
in the
second. Hold on a second, Charles. See if we can get that person muted.
Okay. Yeah, I'll save a seat for you, Patrice. I remember when Katrina and I interviewed you when you were first applying to Fielding, and we both instantly knew that you were Fielding material, and look how you've contributed over the years and risen to leadership. So thank you for those remarks.
Beautiful, all of you, so beautifully done. All right, everyone take a deep breath. Don't forget to go ahead and be on chat if you wish to. We're going to continue apace, but we're getting towards the point where Charles may wish to also make a few remarks. And I would just like to say, as a longtime member in HOD and of Fielding more generally, it is good to see so many of our graduates here today. I might just say thank you for being here, so many of you that I remember from my early days at Fielding. Next, it's going to be Judy Stevens-Long, Dorothy Gupta, and myself all served together as Associate Dean with Charles McClintock as the Dean. And when Judy and Dorothy and Charles were part of my hiring committee, along with Don Bushnell, many of you will remember, those of you who know the Human Organization Development Program. Dorothy cannot be here today as she had a conflict she couldn't change. But I think that Judy is here, and Judy and I were just going to do something a little bit together. And I want to make sure Judy's sound. Are you on, Judy? I couldn't quite tell if you were coming on or not.
Oh,
There
okay.
you are, Judy. You there?
Yeah.
You're up.
Yay.
Okay. There you are.
Yay.
Okay.
And I can be
You go
on.
first.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know. I
We
have
can
lots.
see you fine. We can hear you fine. Go ahead, Judy.
Okay,
Why don't you
good.
begin?
Okay, well, I wrote. You go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. I'm echoing all over the place. Oh, shoot. Okay, I think this is work better. Leave. I got on a double meeting in case that I had to be on my phone because I have to have a 10 o'clock medical appointment. But I did write something because I didn't want to cry. So I'm going to read it. As a boss, Charles was very creative and looked after us associate deans, making sure that the institution was taking the right kind of care of us. And that's one of the things I most appreciated about him, that he would go to bat for us with the institution where we were always fighting for more resources because psychology was supposed to be the leader in terms of revenue and stuff. And we were trying to catch up. And I think we did a great job when Charles was dean. Together, for example, we mounted the Integral Studies Certificate and the Certificate in Foundation Management, where we found out that rich people will pay for something and then not show up. Have a whole room waiting for them, and they'd be like, 4 people would show up, and they would be the children, and then the children wouldn't pay any attention, or the children that were designated wouldn't show up. My best story about Charles as a boss was when I agreed to work for him. He looked into salaries at Fielding and found that though I was doing the same work as another AD that had been there exactly the same number of years that I had, I wasn't making the kind of money that he was making. So he got me the biggest raise I've ever had in my life. And I will never forget that because, shoot, equity is so important. And being on the receiving end of inequity for a long time in my life, when I went to Cal State LA, there were 52 faculty and 3 of them were women. I've had a really hard time with that. And having Charles take care of me like that was just beyond the pale from my point of view. So obviously, he was a great boss, but also a good person. And I really have a huge amount of affection for the days when we worked together. And one of the main reasons is that we had so much fun. Charles and I have always done skits and danced and sung and had piano playing in the background and had a great time at all of our events. And I shall miss that for the rest of my life. Thank you so much, Charles. And I'm crying again. Okay. Sorry, I'm so emotional about this, but I really, really appreciate what you did for me and what you did for Fielding. Thank you so much.
Oh, Judy, I really appreciate what you said, and I really appreciate the emotion. Thank you for that.
Well, there's always that, you know.
Thank you, Judy. It's so good to have you here today. And I know many people on the call remember you as faculty and associate dean as well. And you're recently retired. Now Charles is following you. Fine. Thanks for staying as long as you can. As for me, there are 3 things that I learned from Charles out of the many, many things I've learned and out of working together for so many years. And one is, and I still use this almost every week in my own writing and research, is the importance of a conceptual framework. Anna DiStefano said that Charles is strategic, savvy, and smart and all of those things. But all of that requires the ability to be able to think in a systemic way. And that's the second thing. For me is being able to think in a systemic way. And that is the basis of being able to form a greater conceptual framework. So from an intellectual standpoint, Charles, a gift you gave to me were these two elements that allowed me, I think, to be a better scholar and a better practitioner of the work. And that's a rare gift when you can work with somebody to the extent that you begin to learn these things. And it goes back to what you said, David, about the mentoring, the collegiality, the realization that this could be a community where you really do learn from each other, not just take care of transactions. And that is partially what makes fielding. And Charles, you really embodied that in so many ways, and I appreciated that. And the third thing was that Charles has an extraordinary capacity for hard work. And I just have not seen that often, although there are a lot of people at Fielding that do have that capacity. But it was about the first time in my career when I came to Fielding after decades in conservation and other academic institutions, that if you were getting prepared for a faculty retreat, let's say, Judy and Dorothy and I, with Charles, we worked. Charles has had this way of inspiring you to work as hard as you could to get everything done, and with joy. I mean, as Judy said, with a lot of fun. This wasn't like, oh, I'm working too many hours in the day. It was like, oh, what are we going to do next? And it was that bringing both that joy and that sense of work together just was, I think, a rare quality. So Charles, you'll be missed in so many ways. And that is another one that I've learned, and I have tried to, in my leadership, be emblematic of that as well. So I won't belabor my remarks because there's a few more people we'd like to hear from. And that is, I would like to introduce the Institute for Social Innovation Fellows. As others have mentioned, the Institute for Social Innovation was an invention, a creation of Charles with others. And it had an earlier iteration, but it was quite early on, around 2000, early on in your career here, Charles, I believe around 2002, the Center for Innovation in the Nonprofit Sector, which became the Institute for Social Innovation. And I had the pleasure of serving as director of that at one point. And over the years has built a significant alumni fellows program, and it continues to this day and will continue onward for our alum to be able to conduct research after they leave Fielding. So I'd like to turn over to Marie Sonnet, who is with us today to speak on behalf of some of the fellows. Thank you, Marie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Katrina. Hi, Charles. It's such an honor to be with you today in the company of these mentors, models, and motivators who have helped us Institute of Social Innovation Fellows, alongside you, to continue our scholarly work after graduation under Fielding's banner. We thank you so much. Charles, there's one thing you did exceptionally well. You said yes. You said yes to our applications. You said yes to our projects. You said yes to being our project sponsor. You said yes to connecting us with faculty and external scholars, and to our ideas about creating an ISI community. And there's about 80 of us, I think, now. So you said yes. And it was such a priceless gift that you gave to us. Teresa Southam, my partner, wanted so much to be here today, my colleague, but she cannot. She sends this message, and I quote, "I remember, Charles, when you believed in Maya Marie's dream to co-edit a book with ISI fellows as chapter authors. It became the book Driving Social Innovation. You crystallized our topic. You connected us with Patrice. You found us a forward author. And later, Teresa continues, you gave me nothing but encouragement to write my own book. Thank you for the role you have played in my life and in those of so many others. Thank you, and thanks to you, we will make the world a better place. We give our thanks and our commendation and best wishes to you, Charles. Thank you for launching us and continuing to support us over these years. We appreciate you.
Marie, thank you so much. You have been such a longstanding colleague and such a supporter of what I've tried to do in Institute for Social Innovation, and to your fellows. So it means an awful lot to me that you're here today and that you're passing on these words. Thank you very much.
So welcome.
All right, thank you, Marie. That was lovely. And I can see a number of ISA fellows on the call. So thank you for being here. And many of you are writing in the chat also. So as we begin to get towards the end of the hour, Charles, we wanted to give you a chance to respond. And also, if you wanted to invite anyone else to speak, we're happy to hear from others. So, Charles.
So you want me to go now, Katrina?
Yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, everybody should have a celebration like this. It's really good for the ego, I got to tell you. I wish all these remarks could have gone into my annual reviews with Anna DiStefano. I'm looking around the room. I'm seeing faces that go back to Cornell days, and faces that are all around the country and all around the world. Some of you are at an ungodly hour right now, I know. So thank you so much. It is joyful to see all of you and to have you here. I want to just hit on a few things. One I just did, and that's gratitude. To know that you made a difference in other people's lives is the most important thing I think you can have. And I am gracious. I have gratitude to all of you for letting me know that I've made a difference. It really is wonderful. I want to talk about luck. It was lucky that I got a job at Cornell and was able to get tenure and become a professor there. It was luck that I was at the right person at the right time to talk with Anna DiStefano and come to Fielding. There's a famous organizational theorist, some of you know, Carl Weick, who says, you look back over your career and you say, oh yeah, I made this choice, and then I decided to do this, and then I decided to do that. And you impose a kind of rationality on the path of your career. Well, he says that's really a little bit fallacious, that really luck plays a huge role. Chance plays a huge role. Rolling the dice plays a huge role. And rolling the dice and coming to Fielding was really a win for me. Despite luck, there's also destiny. I come from a family of educators. Both my grandmothers were teachers. One taught music, one taught elementary school. My two sisters were both teachers. My mother and my father were teachers. My father was also a school administrator and a professor of education. So I have education in my DNA, without doubt, and I feel that I love education so much that I can be at a place like Cornell, which is a rarefied atmosphere, and a small pond, a small beautiful pond like Fielding, that has a different set of values and a different orientation to how adults should learn. So in a way, I feel it was destiny that I ended up at Fielding. Relationships. Some of you from Fielding will remember Charlie Seashore, who said, it's all about relationships. Relational connections are what make things happen. That's certainly true in the classroom, and that's certainly true working with students, but it's also true as an administrator. Relationships are important. They allow you to form a mentorship and be supportive of people as they move through their own lives. And you help them sort of self-organize and go on to achieve what they can best achieve. And so I think being at Fielding taught me even more the power of relational learning and and relationships in general. And I'm grateful to Fielding for that opportunity. And so I think I would finish, Katrina, just by going back to where I opened with gratitude. I see faces that I wish there were a way for you to not just save the chat, but to save the some kind of photo montage of everyone's face, because I want to go back and spend time looking at you. I could read off your names, but there are too many to read. But know that I'm seeing you, and know that seeing you is making a great deal of difference, and I have gratitude for that. So I think that's what I have to add, Katrina.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles. I think people are waving at you and people are writing in the chat.
I'm waving back.
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. Thank you, everyone. Just want to see if there are any other comments from our presenters. And I see there's one hand, Carrie, which I will call on you in just a moment. We only have time for one person, so I'm going to call on Carrie. So Carrie, why don't you go first?
No, actually, that was an error. I've said what I needed to in chat, and Charles, I hopefully will have an opportunity to see you, and that's all I'm going to say now.
Well, thank you, Carrie. It's good to hear your voice. Pleasure to see you here today. I would like to call on Nicholas Smith, longtime faculty member and trustee. Seems to me appropriate that you would have the
I'm
last word.
thankful I have the opportunity to thank Charles in person, particularly as the long-winded comment I put in the chat has just disappeared. But Charles, I wanted to stand back because there's so many who have so much gratitude toward you and for the organization that I share. But they got to work with you intimately. They got to work with you directly. And though I'm jealous of them, for that reason, I did want to remark on one quality that I was always aware of in the time that I've been at Fielding as a faculty member, and that beyond your eminence, you were always a pillar, an eminent force at Fielding. But what I found to be the key element for me and guidance for me as a faculty member and a change agent was your prescience and how to cultivate prescience in one's life and one's work with whatever audience, whatever population, whatever series, whatever mattered most to you as a person who wished to make a contribution, who wished to matter in life. So I thank you for that, and I also thank you for what you're doing right now. And that is, I feel as educators, we have an obligation not only to inspire, but to transition well. And you are transitioning magnificently, and I appreciate that. So I had it better said in that chat that was lost, but you just know how heartfelt these feelings are from a relatively newer faculty member, and so some of those that have spoken and knew you when.
Thank you, Nicola. You're a very special person to me. I've always enjoyed our relationship so much. And so thank you for those remarks. And I want to thank Elena Nicholson for helping organize this. I want to thank Katrina for emceeing it. I want to thank Katie McGraw for taking over leadership of the Institute for Social Innovation when I'm done at the end of this month, and all the rest of you who have taken the time to show up. And I just can't tell you how great it is to see your faces.
Thank you, Charles. And with that, I just want to wish you congratulations and thank you for your many years of service, decades of service to Fielding, and think that you're just one piece in the story for so many people that go on and learn and have great impact in the world. And as many people have reflected today, and that's part of the hope and the heart of education and why so many of us stay in education as a profession, and why so many of us, all of us here, are adult learners because of that promise.
Well,
and we keep that faith.
And we have a new tradition in HOD, Charles, that when someone graduates, we ring a bell. So I wanted to ring a bell.
All right,
Thank
I'll
you.
raise a glass, a toast to all of you and to all of
Thank you.
us. Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right. Bye, everyone. Thank you all for
Thank
being
you all.
here.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles, friends and family. Bye-bye.
Thank you.